my show. My name is Rishanka Jones, and this is the second episode of my podcast. Today, I have with me a very special guest. His name is Matt Diehl. He is a marketing professional in Baltimore and has done many high profile projects in marketing, especially since AI has taken over this industry. Welcome, Matt. So happy
Thank
to
you.
have you, and I'm so excited to hear about everything marketing and AI related.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, Matt, let's dive right into it. There's so much to cover, and we don't have too much time. But before we begin into the meat of this conversation, can you tell the audience a bit about your educational background and the kind of projects you've been working on recently?
Yeah, so I was actually a psychology major in college, and I was working in psychology, working on a master's degree, and actually ended up getting pretty burnt out. And in the midst of that, was living in Baltimore and came across a coding class, and was always interested in computers. And in the midst of working in psychology, ended up taking that class, and that's how I kind of got into the industry. So I've worked at a couple of financial publishers doing some of their email marketing. And most recently in 2020, I started working with the Bonnet Private Wine Partnership, which is a niche sort of wine club that goes around the world finding unknown wines. And I do pretty much all the marketing for them. So I've kind of evolved from doing email development into some of the more broader pieces of marketing.
And just curious, did you get free bottles of wine?
Sometimes I do, yeah. Sometimes I forget. I do test orders, and sometimes I forget to cancel them, and they end up at the front door.
Oh, that's nice. So you basically got into marketing at a pretty late stage in your life. This is when
Yeah.
you'd already finished graduation or master's and had done a few years in psychology.
Yeah, I was 26, and I'm almost 35 now. So I was 26. I had 4 years really in the workforce, and was on my second job within psychology. And so, yeah, I never majored in it, never really had given it much thought. And then it kind of just evolved into what I'm doing today.
Great. And so, what encouraged you to pursue marketing, or what was the inspiration? Do you have someone in the family doing it, or it's just something that came naturally to you?
Yeah, I think it more so came naturally and kind of fell into my lap. Taking the class sort of kickstarted that whole thing, and I got hired out of that class to one of the financial publishers. And everything that they did to bring in members and subscribers was all based around marketing. So I couldn't really help but kind of get involved in it. And so my day-to-day job duties were with marketing. I think though that being a psychology major sort of began that interest though, because marketing is all basically human psychology and like the nature of why we buy. And so I think that played a big role in it. But yeah, kind of ended up falling into my lap, and I've kind of just run with it.
Great. And one of the most important things I think about marketing is to really go out there and understand what the customers want. And I see how you're relating psychology with marketing because there's so much testing and trying and doing field trips and understanding what is going on in the market right now and then creating a product or a brand around that. But, moving on, can you explain the difference between advertising and marketing? I see in layman's term, I know what advertising is and I know what marketing is, but I feel like so many times these two terms are used interchangeably. So if briefly you could touch upon that.
Yeah. So marketing is the broader strategy, and advertising is kind of a cog in that machine of marketing. So marketing is like the bigger umbrella where you're talking about advertising, but you're also talking about fulfillment, and you're talking about the customer journey and sort of where you want to advertise. And then advertising is that like individual piece of it, whether you're talking about social media, PR, any kind of sort of ad form. But marketing is really the broader umbrella term.
Matt, how do you think marketing has changed in the last decade? Because it seems like AI has kind of taken over every business function. And I personally been using AI a lot in my work. So can you tell me how you as a professional have seen marketing has grown by using AI? And do you think the education system should change, the marketing education system should change, include more AI courses?
Yeah, that would be to answer your second question, that would be great. I mean, I think everybody should have some education in marketing, if not to just understand in your day-to-day life, you probably see 100 ads, if not more than that, throughout the day, whether you're on your phone or you're driving. So I think it plays a decision in like our spending habits, and understanding if you see a 50% off deal, most of the time it's not, it's not really a deal for you per se. So I think there's education needed around marketing and around AI, because AI is going to take, it has already, but I think it's going to take over more of our day-to-day lives, just how we interact with technology. But I think how it's changed marketing in general. So everything has gone obviously digital. Like you have to have a digital presence now. And I think everything has to be much more personalized, much more data driven. Whereas, if you're a magazine company, or if you're running a magazine ad, like that's not the kind of advertising that people are going to respond to in today's world. Right. So it's really all about the customer. It's the customer really controlling their own journey, and it's meeting the customer kind of where they're at. So that's been a big change.
So it seems like, having that change in the educational system would prepare students better for an AI driven world. You kind of have already done the theoretical part of it, and now you're just going out there and using the tools and applying that theory to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think we can use AI in improving our marketing strategies? We're going to move on and talk about the tools, some of the tools that you could suggest, but how can we improve like our day-to-day marketing strategy with AI tools?
I think the main thing that AI has done, in terms of positively helping out marketing professionals, is reducing their workload. So what AI can do is take hours or hundreds of hours of work and turn it into something much more compact. So
Give an example of that.
if you're trying to, for a data analyst, for example, if you're trying to analyze data and you're going through Excel and you're kind of trying to crunch all the numbers, you can throw in this table of data into AI and it'll spit out, okay, here's your customer retention, here's your churn, that you have all that data already in there, and it'll give you personalized sort of recommendations as to, okay, here's something that you could do to beat customer churn, or here's something that you could do to get a customer who is, it's identified as likely to churn in a subscription, for example, or is likely to just be a one-time buyer, to get them to then buy a second time.
Yeah, it makes sense because it seems like now people are using AI to improve efficiency and, not waste as much time as most people were doing manual tasks. So I think time saving is one thing and efficiency is the other thing.
Yeah.
But how do you convince your clients that AI would be beneficial for them? A lot of clients, especially like, the mom and pop companies or like plumbing companies, they're not there yet and they're not ready to use these extremely sophisticated tools and software. So how do you convince them?
Yeah, I think it's just sort of a data play where you have to show them there's somebody in the industry that is using AI, one of your competitors, most likely. And so it's a way to keep up with kind of one, your competitors, but also keep up and stay in front of your customers. For somebody like a manual laborer, like a HVAC or a plumber, being able to tell AI like, hey, here's my target audience. Here's the sort of the keywords that they're searching on a day-to-day basis to try and find my services. Instead of hiring a copywriter or working with an agency where it could take weeks to months and you're paying a large amount of money, it's really just a matter of prompting something like ChatGPT and saying, here's my ideal customer, here's their location, here's what they're searching for. And in a matter of seconds, minutes, AI can spit out different marketing angles for different audiences. And so there you have just a plug and play setup where you have, like, if you're talking about somebody from like Baltimore, for example, you can throw it into your SEO or your marketing and you're already way ahead of a lot of your competition.
So that's a great segue into my next question, actually. Does it even make sense for people to pursue a career in marketing now that AI has taken over? Um, if it's creating most of the marketing strategy for you, then what is your role here as a human marketing professional?
Yeah, it's using your own creativity, I think, is the big difference. AI can do a lot of the data crunching. It can write, hundreds of variations of ad copy, sales pages. It allows you to then focus more on strategy within your marketing. One of the keys is being able to prompt the AI. Like, you can't just type in, "I want to ad for a local plumber that's in Baltimore." You kind of have to give it a little bit of information for then it to be able to sort of analyze it, take it all in, and then spit something out that is usable for your business. So the sort of overarching theme is there still has to be a human behind the AI to make things work. And so I think
I think it's more about the human touch, building
yes,
relationships with people. More like business development is done on part of the marketing
right.
professional, and then using their creativity and letting AI do the manual, not the manual, but like the hard work of actually pulling out the entire process,
Yes.
the
Yeah, it's
marketing process.
the human touch, I think, is the big piece, because the AI doesn't really know, with no information to start off with. It can't really do any of the tasks that you want it to do. So you have to have the human and the creativity piece behind it to make things really work for your business.
So, Matt, we spoke about how you started in marketing and how we can use AI for marketing. But can you just generally tell us, if a person wanted to market their company, what are few ways one can do that? In simple terms, just so that if I started a company, I didn't know where to begin. If you could walk me through like a five or six step process.
Yeah, sure. So the name of the game when you're trying to market, you're trying to sell something, right? Whether that's yourself or a product or a service. And so you need traffic really to start off with. So the first step you have to think about is, okay, where can I get traffic at the lowest cost? If you're starting out with a small budget or no budget, social media and having a digital presence is kind of the first step. So establishing yourself on something like Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn is a great network. And so producing organic content. So, if you're an expert in investment banking, taking something like the news clippings from, or a headline from a recent news article, and putting your own spin on it and giving your own opinion is a way to sort of put your name out there organically without having to spend any money. So if the name of the game is sort of traffic to your brand or an offer or service, the paid side of that is ads. And so whether that be, every platform has ads, Facebook ads, Twitter ads, LinkedIn even has ads. And so that's a way to get sort of quick traffic if you're trying to test out an offer or a service. So it really goes from organic, putting yourself out there, to then paid. And Facebook ads in general, are a short term, quick first step. And then from there, when you're talking about longer term, you want to really optimize your brand or your product for buyer intent searches. So if somebody is typing, you know, best tool for DIY, that is a buyer search term. And so the next step is then trying to rank your web page or your product or service for that search term. And so that's a free, more so organic avenue of traffic. But SEO takes, search engine optimization takes time, takes money. It's
We have
really,
social
yeah,
media marketing, which is free of cost, and that can be done across all social media platforms by, just putting out lots of content out there and getting more
yes, yeah,
traffic. The next one you mentioned was having paid ads on, again, social media, which is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and X. I think that's the name
yes,
of
yeah.
the
Now it's
new,
X.
yeah. And what was the third one that you mentioned?
Search engine optimization.
SEO, yeah.
SEO,
And
yeah.
that's paid way of marketing.
So sometimes you can, it's free if you do it yourself. It's paid if you have to hire somebody to do that. But for example, you create a page, best restaurant in Maryland. If you're trying to rank for the search term best restaurant in Maryland, you can go onto your website, create a page targeting that keyword specifically, and you want to have solid content, which is where AI can help, but you have to sort of humanize the content for that page. But yeah, for example, like, if you want to rank for best restaurant in Maryland, and if you do a simple search on Google, the first initial listings are going to be paid ads, and then you're going to get the Google map, and then you're going to get the Google search rankings. And so for a business to rank in the top three of Google Maps is huge because that's, the first couple of business listings that somebody's seeing when they're searching for a restaurant in Maryland or a tool for a DIY or for a lot of local SEO is a service like a plumber or an electrician. I think the data was like almost 70% of the click throughs on a search term are in the top three listings. And then as you go farther down, you get less and less. As you're lower ranked, you get less and less clicks, which in a non technical term means less and less business.
So it seems like if I were to rank how you can get most business and traffic is the top one would be paid ads and the next would be SEO.
Right. Yeah. So it's paid ads being the fastest way to
I don't know
build.
why there was a thumbs up for that. It's just
Yeah, I think it's the phone, it's the new Apple software. Um,
okay.
the fastest way is not usually the most cost efficient way, but the fastest way is paid ads. And then a longer term process is search engine optimization and convincing Google that, hey, my business or my service is solid. And there's a lot that goes into search engine optimization other than just, putting in good content onto your site. But that's sort of the broad gist of it.
Matt, what do you think is a common misconception people have about using AI in marketing?
I think, well, the overarching theme is that AI is going to replace every marketer, every copywriter, every digital marketer, you name it, in terms of jobs. But I think that's the biggest misconception and maybe the biggest advantage to somebody that embraces AI. It should be more so thought of as a tool to help you develop content or to create ad campaigns. But there's the emotional piece of it that the human understands that they can communicate to the AI and then have their ad copy or email copy or you name it spit something out that works for them.
So do you think creativity is still like a marketer's edge over AI?
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And a good example is like men's and women's wallets. There's a company called Ridge Wallet, and there's a billion different brands that you could buy a wallet from, and yet they run paid ads, but they have different ways of communicating their offer and why Ridge Wallet is different than other wallets that you could go buy on Amazon or something like that.
They're more creative with their advertisements, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And Matt, can you recommend a few AI tools
Sure.
that a marketer can use for if you were to break it down into the ways of marketing that you suggested?
Yeah, so the biggest one is ChatGPT or
Is
something
that
similar.
free? I've never used it.
It is free up until a certain amount of credits. Basically, all of these AI softwares, they give you like a free trial, and then you can use a certain amount of credits, or you can generate a certain amount of responses. And then after that point, it's a paid plan. So ChatGPT, Claude is another one, Perplexity AI. Those are all like prompt based AIs where you can type in a prompt and then it generates a response. There is image generating AIs like Midjourney for image creation. Midjourney is one that I use. Lately, I've been using Replit AI, which is AI for basically coding minimum viable products. So, it's another prompt based AI where you type in, hey, I'd like an app for XYZ and or a landing page for XYZ. And it sort of builds the structure for you and then gives you sort of a plan as to what it's going to make. You approve the plan, and then it generates something that would take an expert programmer or developer maybe a week, and somebody that's more so a novice months. It spits out in a matter of 5 minutes.
And Matt, have you come across like an exciting marketing AI campaign using AI that you think, you would want the audience to know and learn from?
Yeah, there's one that's actually maybe not the greatest in terms of its benefit for society, but if you go onto something like Instagram or TikTok and you see slideshows of my dad was the top doctor or top surgeon at a hospital for 10 years. Here are the medical tips that like um, modern medicine doesn't want you to know. And it's a,
Oh, yes, I
have
have
you
come
seen that?
across so many different versions of that.
Yeah, or I was the top model at Victoria's Secret for 5 years. Here are all the tips that they made us do for weight loss. And within the slideshow is a product. And so it's like for the Victoria's Secret example, it's eat kiwis for weight loss and drink a gallon of water for clear skin. And then it's like, but here's an ad for like a green smoothie or something like that, or some sort of medicinal tincture.
So you're saying they used AI to create the ad, which is using like medical, professionals as their
Yeah, so they took
dummies and then selling product that's not that related to that profession.
Yeah, the exact structure I can tell you is they used ChatGPT to come up with a hook to draw the viewer in, being the my dad was a top surgeon, and then they used Midjourney or something similar to create those images, and then they linked to a an affiliate offer or something like that to get sales, and then they get paid a commission off of that. So really the content generation can be done in minutes. And if you're somebody like a good video editor, you can use video editing platforms to make that very quickly. And all of it is, you don't have to do any product shoots. You don't have to have a copywriter, but those are doing, if you look at some of those videos on TikTok, they're in the millions of video views.
Scary, actually, it
Yeah.
can be very deceiving for the audience.
Yeah.
Um, and that actually leads me to my next questions. What are the disadvantages of AI in the marketing world?
Yeah.
Apart from taking your job, what are the other disadvantages?
Well, I think if you're going to be disadvantaged to begin with if you're not using AI, but I think a disadvantage that I've seen is it doesn't make you lazy, but I think the lazy marketers who simply type in give me a script for XYZ or create an ad for my flower business without doing the correct prompting. I think leaning too much on the AI can be a problem. It doesn't have an immediate impact for you at that moment, but then in terms of business and driving sales and driving traffic, it makes an impact.
Basically, using too much of AI can cut out that authenticity that
Right.
otherwise the audience would be able to get from
Yeah, I think
a brand or a video.
leaning too much on it and not embracing sort of the creative side of it and taking it for when AI spits out an article on the top headphones in 2025, there's some editing that needs to be done by the human itself. So themselves. So I think it almost becomes maybe too much of a crutch, but then again, it shows in the traffic and the sales down the line. So I think it's kind of a twofold sort of problem where if you're trying to generate content quick and painlessly, it's great, but that might not be the content that converts and brings in traffic and sales for your audience.
Thank you so much, Matt. This has been very insightful. But, do you think there's anything that I have missed out? And, we may do a few follow-up podcasts once we dive deeper into
Sure.
this subject. But do you think there's anything I've missed out that you can think of that would help the audience?
No, I think you could spend hours talking about AI and its role in not only marketing, but in, other jobs. But I think for somebody that's looking to get into marketing and for somebody that is maybe overwhelmed by AI, I think that is a big issue in our society is people just kind of don't know what it is or what it's capable of, good and bad. So back, to your point about education of in marketing and education of AI. That's a big piece of it. But for somebody that's looking to get into marketing, I don't think we touched on that. But the big point, I think the broad sort of takeaway from this is there's AI can be good and bad, but the ability for you to start something and create right away, if you have an idea, is at its we're at our easiest point of entry we've ever been in society. Nobody could start a solo founder business and scale it to $10,000, let alone $1 million in today's society. And there's many examples of that out there. That would have never been possible pre-internet. But now you're able to go from idea generation to a website to then pushing out content and developing content on social media in a matter of hours. So I think the point is to start something. So if you're looking to get into a marketing job, the way that I got into it was after taking that class, I developed a website, and sort of that is that resume. Outside of your own resume, like doing something and being able to show that to an employer is really the best way to impress them and get a job.
Basically shows the kind of work you can do using the tools that have been given to you in today's world, like you said.
Yep. Yep, it's so easy to start something, and you learn. I think you learn the most not
By
from,
doing.
yeah, not from consuming, but by doing.
And Matt, is there one or two pieces of advice that you could give the audience that would really help a prospective marketing professional thinking of pursuing a career in marketing? Any kind of resources or courses that you think related to AI or not that would be helpful?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of resources on. I use Twitter a lot. I don't tweet a lot, but I consume a lot of the info from people that I respect in the marketing world. I do a lot of watching YouTube and getting people's different tactics from people. So I think knowing how to Google search things, and if you run into issues, come up with solutions by somebody has always run into the problem in marketing that you have, whether that's um, a technical issue with your website or building a brand. Like people have created content around it. So, it's good not to get caught up in consuming content, but I think being able to figure out what you need and then find it on the internet is a really a good trait to have in today's world. And I also think, really the best advice outside of actually taking action and doing something is to get curious. So if you're interested in for the wine club that I work for example, I have a whole Rolodex of competitor ad copy, whether that's Facebook ads or email marketing. So if you're trying to sort of come up with an idea for a campaign or, a website or whatever sort of interest that you have, it's Googling a competitor and seeing what's working for them and just being really curious and looking around the internet for ideas, because like I said, somebody's already typically done what you have done or you're wanting to do. So finding something that's worked and then iterating from that, I think is probably the best, a really solid course of action you can take.
Yeah, that makes sense because imitation is the best
Of
form of
flattery.
flattery.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I think that's the code for this decade.
Yep, yep. And you can go through, I mean, just look through e-commerce brands. There's so many brands that are the same exact product, but just conceptualized differently, articulated differently.
About that, Matt, do you think there's a brand that has done a fantastic job with their marketing using AI?
There are plenty of companies that use UGC for AI. I think if you looked on, it's hard to come up with one specific. I can tell you a lot of e-commerce brands right now are using AI to generate their email copy and their ad copy. I don't want to, call out a specific brand for using AI.
That's fine. And I'm sure it's we don't even know if it is AI or not. No one's disclosing that.
Yeah, but if you look up, one of my favorite things to do is look up like UGC AI, user generated content AI. There are specific personas, AI generated people that show up pretty frequently on my TikTok feed or my Instagram feed. And it's interesting, like once you look at those people and what they look like, and then you start to see them in ads, you're like, oh, okay, I know where that's coming from.
It's all out there now on the internet.
Yes, yeah.
It's all out there. Well, Matt, this was such a pleasure talking to you, and I've learned so much about marketing today. I had no idea what SEO meant. Thank you for
Good.
that.
Yeah.
And are you okay with me linking your email address at the bottom in case anybody wants to get in touch for advice or some marketing help?
Sure. You can email me. You can go into my website, BmoreFound.com. Feel free to reach out. I'm on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So
No,
absolutely. Now, sorry, I don't know if I can let go of, I don't know if I can let go of the name.
Yeah, it's that's a hard one. But well, thank you so much, Matt. And it was really a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, this was Matt Diehl, and he spoke about his journey in marketing while using AI. If you like what you heard and saw, please like, subscribe, and share. And if you have any marketing related questions, please feel free to reach out to Matt. I'm linking his website and his email address at the bottom of this video. Bye bye.